And now, America's #1 civil rights leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Good afternoon. You are live.
It's Thursday, February the 20th. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. And good morning to my West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. And for the next 3 hours, you can join the conversation and be heard nationwide. Every state, every region of the country will hear your thoughts, your commentaries, your opinions. All you have to do is call me at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go to nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and go on our live stream, and you can post a comment, and I'll read it on the air. This is about our second week of doing the show live on live stream on nationalactionnetwork.net and YouTube /NAN, N-A-N, YouTube. You can watch it YouTube/NAN. So you can watch us as we do the show. Call in, or you can comment right on the live stream, and I will read it. And there is a lot to comment about, both you that call in and you that just watch and sit up at the job with your earphones on, watching the show, and you can put in a comment and they think you're doing your work. You know how some of us do. I know. They do it to me in my office. They be behind their desk, and I think they working on something else, and they be doing something else. Anyway, I'm not condoning it. I'm just observing it. Lot going on. They started in New York, I think maybe a couple of weeks ago. Is it a month already? About the whole question of congestion pricing, and where they started charging a certain price if you went in a certain area of the city, and to try and deal with traffic that would be becoming very thick and sometimes immovable, as well as to raise revenue. They came up with this congestion pricing. Well, yesterday, President Trump made a move to dismantle congestion pricing, calling it an attack on the state. And he said the king, he referred to himself as a king, long live the king. The governor, of course, is fighting him, but more people are saying, what is wrong with him? He thinks he's a king, now he's saying he's a king. Well, if you look at the way he's behaving and the way the Republicans are genuflecting in front of him, yep, that's what they think he is. And that's why I say this is not about Republican or Democrat. This is about saving what this country is supposed to be pursuing. And when you give a man that is already a narcissist unchecked power, you have to live with his narcissism going from illusional to delusional and rise up and fight him. That's why we've been fighting him on DEI, fighting him on these cuts that he's making. They are now, we're going to talk about this today, they're now talking about cuts that would affect Medicaid and Social Security. I'm not talking about, I'm not dealing in hyperbole. I'm talking about literally talking about this, which means they would be hurting some of the people that voted for him. I've been seeing some newscasts where they, in many ways, go with the newscasts of go with in these areas, rural areas, red states, and they interview some people that voted for Trump who are now saying, I'm not happy that I voted for him. I saw one lady say, well, I didn't really think he was going to do some of these things like with breaking up families of immigrants and all. I just thought that was talk. I just liked him better than I liked Kamala Harris. Well, it turns out he is going to do it. And he's brought in, can you imagine him talking about fighting for working class people while he had the 3 richest men in the country in choice seats at his inauguration? Think about that. And where Elon Musk is now working out of the White House, firing hundreds of people. Explain to me how you have the richest man in the world deciding the fate of federal employees that keep the country going and offering buyouts to leave so they can bring in people that are loyal to them. We have never been this close to an autocracy in the history of this country. I tell a lot of young people in National Action Network, study history. But then there are some things that you can only study principles because there's nowhere in history that we were faced with these choices, this situation. Now, you had a lot of presidents that wanted to be autocrats, but they never really went to the point that he's going now. And I think we need to set all the alarms off because clearly that's where he's headed. And the thing that you have to appreciate is he's saying it out loud. He's not leaving it for you to guess. He's telling you, long live the king. He's telling you that, yeah, well, the people of January 6th that beat up police and urinated on Congress and senators' offices, they are heroes because they did it for me. Telling you in your face. Telling you I'm mandating we end diversity, equity, and inclusion. I am not for worrying about safeguards to make sure that blacks and browns and women get in places. I'm going to end all that straight up, openly. That ain't Al Sharpton talking about what I'm going to do. I'm telling you. Openly. Put Hicks in as the defense secretary, and he says he wants to return names of army bases like Fort Bragg. Bragg was a segregationist, separatist, white supremacist. We're going to name it Fort Bragg again. We'll name it after another Bragg, but y'all know what I mean. In your face. And a guy I know, a brother, said to me, you know, Rev Mal, you said he was going to do all this, and I argued with you, and I voted for him. I'm sorry I did. I said, I wasn't trying to be right. I was trying not to get us in this predicament. Because we're going to have to fight this for 4 years. But fight it we will. We fought harder battles than Trump. It's just so overt we've not seen this before. So let's talk about all of this. Some of y'all that have Social Security or Medicaid, call me up and let me know how you feel about being cut so we can get a billionaires a tax cut. They have this whole thing of having one bill, and all of that is in it rather than the breakdown, because they figure if it break down, some of the Republicans might go left. So they're trying to get everything in one big bill. This is about as serious as times as you've seen and I've seen. Question is, are we serious about it? You're not dreaming. You're not going to open your eyes and go back away. This is real. Trump is living up to everything we warned you he would. Question is, are we going to stand up and fight back? I don't know what you're going to do, but I didn't come this far to reverse now. So we got to be vigilant, and we've got to be, in my opinion, unwavering. I see you, Willie Wilson Jr., saying, afternoon, Reverend Sharpton, no justice, no peace. That's the slogan, Willie. Thank you for giving us the comment. TJ Truckin, peace and greeting. Sheila Vanderkam, Trump is destroying America, Sheila said. All right, I'm going to be reading a lot of your posts, comments off of our live stream, and I'm letting you on the phone on the air, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back. Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton. Be ready for the National Action Network's National Convention, April 2nd through the 5th, 2025, in New York at the Sheraton. This year, and the 57th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King, they are trying to take back everything he stood and died for. We convene every year in April to make sure they know that they killed the dreamer, not the dream. We have workshops on everything from business development to dealing with our legal needs, from police reform all the way to how we deal with sentencing, how we deal with immigration, how we deal with the arts and entertainment. We have big names that come every year, but don't come for the big names, come for the big plans and the big execution. Register now. Because with this year, as we are under assault with DEI, under assault with ending the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department, under assault with now consent decrees and all are neutralized, if there ever was a time that you should come to a National Action Network convention, now's the time. We don't need a lot of philosophizing. We don't need a lot of showing how smart you are. We need action. We plan action, and then we go and do action. I'm looking for you. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. We have no registration fee. You don't pay to register. Just get here and let's get it on. National Action Network Convention, April 2nd through the 5th. I'm going to look for you there. I think the other day, I was reading that scripture, challenge about the transfiguration. And you know, I used to hear preachers say they would love to talk to this one or that one, or communicate this one or that one. And I thought about, I would love to talk to James and John. Jesus went up on the mountain and brought his disciples with him. And the Bible said they went to sleep, James and John. And I would really want to know, why did you go to sleep when Jesus was going up to do something that we never understood all that happened because y'all were asleep? Now, they said that they appeared to be that he was talking to Moses and Elijah. I wonder what Moses and Elijah told Jesus. Jesus, son of God, why would he need to talk to Moses and Elijah? We'll never know because the disciples were asleep. Maybe Moses told them, don't worry about Calvary, because at the Red Sea, God, your father made a way for me. We'll never know. Maybe Elijah told them to appoint your disciples carefully. I had to throw mine on Elisha. We don't know what kind of counsel he got. We don't know the reason he went up there. Did they bless him? Did they prepare him? When he came later and said, are you prepared to drink of this cup? Did they tell him, you got to drink of the cup? We'll never know, because the disciples were asleep. I come to tell you today that while Trump is trying to roll back time, the disciples are asleep. Y'all are sleeping through a revolution. You run around here talking about how much money Musk got. You run around here talking about how strong Trump is. You're sleeping through a revolution. You're trying to give people a way out rather than to dig in. Preachers talking about feel good. Get in the mirror and repeat these affirmations. I don't care what you repeat in the mirror. It ain't gonna change your situation till you get up and do something. I watch some of these preachers, it gets me sick. Touch somebody and tell them so and so. Don't touch me, you might get slapped back. I wanna know what we gonna do about this. God is speaking to us, but you sleep. That's like Jesus went and conferred with Moses and Elijah. We need to confer with Martin and Malcolm and Rosa Parks. Let those that are gone past confer with us like Elijah and Moses conferred with Jesus, and they would tell us if we stand up, God will hold us up. Y'all are asleep, but I've been talking to the ancestors, and they told me that God will make a way for his children. I've been talking to the ancestors. They said that the race isn't given to the swift, nor to the strong, but those that'll hold out to the end. I've been talking to the ancestors. Y'all are asleep, but the ancestors told me there is a God that'll make a way for his children. He walks with me. He talks with me. Tells me I'm his own. No justice, no justice, no justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom, let my people go, go. We gonna shine, never shade. Give me a papa God, rain, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water, children.
Where Frederick Douglass laid. Don't stand on the ground where Rosa Parks laid, unless you're going to really do what it is we committing to do. Because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against wickedness, principalities, wickedness in high places. I want everyone, if you are resolved, to just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, Al Sharpton, do solemnly commit that I will stand up and rise up in the name of Dr. King, in the name of Frederick Douglass, in the name of Rosa Parks, and I will defend equality for all, diversity, equality, inclusion, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, immigration rights. I commit, I take this oath that I will not become like those I'm fighting. I'm not for violence, but I will peacefully stand against those that want to bring us down. I commit this in the house of God, on this sacred ground, So help me God. So help me God. Congratulate yourself. So we are fighting. That's why you're standing. Deal with I want all the ministers to come. You must be disciplined and do study, because unless you do structural change, we'll keep coming right back to this over and over again. I spoke Wednesday night at Yale University, and I told them students, some of those brightest students in the country, Yale, Harvard, I spoke at Yale, and told them there is a structural problem, which is why Trump and Vance and President Elon Musk, they can come in and put us backward because the structure was never corrected. They walk in the door and say NDI, because structurally they can make that stand. We've got to break the corporate world from doing it and then straighten out the structure of how this country is. Why we ought to be sending people to Congress is not sending them to Congress because they had the robocalls call your house, but they're committed to the structural change of this country. What Trump is successful on is playing on a weak structure, so he can make it go either way. It should not be so unclear that you can play the game either set away. It must be firm that you got to repair. One 877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Or you can go to our live stream, nationalactionnetwork.net live stream, put in a comment, and I will read your comment. Or you can watch it on YouTube /NAN. Let me say by way of announcements, we got some heavy stuff coming this weekend. Make sure you watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. You do not want to miss this weekend with all of this going on. You're going to get up-to-the-minute briefing from me and the guest to explain what they're doing or what they're not doing. You know I'm going to challenge that. Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 on Saturday and Sunday. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut vicinity, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally. I'll be there Saturday morning, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. in Harlem at the House of Justice, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. And don't forget NAN's convention, National Action Network Convention. People are already signing up, calling in from everywhere, saying that they will be there. It's free, April 2nd through the 5th. If you can't do every day, come 1 day, 2 days. At this convention is where we're going to lay out who we're going to boycott around DEI and why and what you can do in your town about it, your city about it. We're going to hear from people that's going to deal with voting rights and business development. We're going to honor Patti LaBelle with the Cultural Award. She'll be there. Stacey Abrams will be there. Dr. Michael Eric Dyson will be there. The list goes on and on. I don't want you to just come to see the well-known people. We have that every year. I want you to, we have all the black state attorney generals, all that. I want you to come to get briefed on where we are and what assignment we can all leave. That's why we call this, when we started National Action Network 34 years ago, National Action. It's about action. It's not about having a 2-3 day convention and everybody make their best speech and we go out and do nothing. I think it is, in my opinion, the wrong thing to do. All right, let's go to the phones. 1-877 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let me read off of live stream. John Smith says, Brother Sharpton, as a Jewish black man, what do you think is going, how about, I'm sorry, I'm reading it wrong. As a Jewish black man, what do you think about how a society is how a society is going with education in this country? I think it's horrible. I think that when you are seeing the Secretary of Education advocating abolishing education, public education, invest in charter schools only, privatizing education, which only helps people of a certain class. And when they are limiting the studies, they are openly saying, don't teach black studies, don't teach about slavery, don't teach about this, that, or the other that they disagree with. I think it's horrific. That's what I think. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's start in Philadelphia, WURD 900 with Gary. Gary, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Thank you, Al Sharpton. Thank you for all that you do, and thank you for listeners. There's a God that watches high and looks low. So when I say that, it keeps me grounded as to it's going to be all right. That's number one for all the people that believe out there. The other thing is either you got to kiss the ring or you got to do the salute. So which one is it? The other thing is, do we have any black think tanks that we can really focus on? Do we have them? Because that's important for us right now. And also, this is the last one. Also, most people that are listening, and particularly people of color, well, I don't even want to say that, black people, we need to have couches, because sometimes people are going into the direction that they need therapy for all this stuff that we've been going through for hundreds and hundreds of years. And I spoke to someone, they told me they don't need a couch. They're all right. But I say, well, why do you do what you do? So these are the things that I am concerned about. Kissing the ring thing and the salute tells us where we are, and some of the people don't believe it. But then there's a higher authority that should keep us grounded with all this madness that's going on. Thank you for letting me share.
All right, thank you for your call. And I think you're right. A lot of us have had mental health issues, trauma, coming out of what we've been through and passed down through generations. That's real. I think you're right about that. Let me go to John in Staten Island. John.
Yes. Yes. Good afternoon, Reverend Al. Happy Black History Month.
Thank you.
Yes. I'm talking about that. I want to listen to you. I'm the blind fellow. I don't know if you remember me last year with the mayor of Queensbridge Houses, Rodney Jones. I had given you $71.70 for your birthday and $1 for.
Oh yeah, I do remember that with Mr. Mayor. Yeah.
You hugged me, and Rodney brought me up, and you hugged me, and I hugged you.
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to be 70 myself this year. I was born a year after you, 55 of August 24th. I'm turning, hopefully, Lord God willing, this Sunday in August 24th, Sunday 70. But what I'm calling about is I'm blind now. I don't have satellite radio. You're not on 1190 WLIB. So the only way to listen to you is satellite radio, Instagram, or you said something about NAN YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube at NAN. That's how you can hear the show every day. So, and on the weekends, we're on WBLS.
Yeah, that I have. I had to give back BLS on Saturday and Sunday. Right. But if I talk to my Apple phone, Siri, I just say, Siri, can you put on NAN YouTube? And then what are the times to listen to that if I do that?
It's live now, 1 to 4 Eastern Time.
It doesn't come on like it used to, like 7 to 9 on the radio. I used to listen to
No,
it.
no,
Yeah.
you can listen to it now live. Or once it's on YouTube, you can pull it back up.
Oh, I see.
If you can't do it until
okay,
night, you
sure.
can pull it back up. But thank you for your call. I do remember you. Glad you called in. All right,
Right.
let me go to Cliff in Connecticut. Cliff?
Hey, Rev, thanks for taking my call.
Sorry, Red, we gotta go.
I got to take a break. Wait a minute. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let me take my break. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Keeping it real. Sharpton. Right after this.
Sorry about that, Rev.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustling, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old, with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton. Be ready for the National Action Network's National Convention, April 2nd through the 5th, 2025, in New York at the Sheraton. This year, and the 57th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King, they're trying to take back everything he stood and died for. We convene every year in April to make sure they know that they killed the dreamer, not the dream. We have workshops on everything from business development to dealing with our legal needs, from police reform all the way to how we deal with sentencing, how we deal with immigration, how we deal with the arts and entertainment. We have big names that come every year, but don't come for the big names, come for the big plans and the big execution. Register now. Because with this year, as we are under assault with DEI, under assault with ending the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department, under assault with now consent decrees and all are neutralized, if there ever was a time that you should come to a National Action Network convention, now's the time. We don't need a lot of philosophizing. We don't need a lot of showing how smart you are. We need action. We plan action and then we go and do action. I'm looking for you. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. We have no registration fee. You don't pay to register. Just get here and let's get it on. National Action Network Convention, April 2nd through the 5th. I'm going to look for you there. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or go on to the live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and you can send me a message. You can post a message there as you watch live stream. Dolores Seals just posted, "Good afternoon, Reverend Al, NAN, and all listeners. It's always a pleasure to be in the mix of good company to get in good trouble. It is evident that 47 is the USA biggest terrorist." All right, Dolores, I heard you and I read you. Let me go to Cliff in Connecticut. Cliff, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hey, Rep, thanks for taking my call once again. Listen, I am pro-black, so I just want the best for black people. So I don't know, people might call me racist or prejudiced or whatever, but because of me and who I am, that's what I want. So Hispanics, Mexicans, the whole 9 yards. So I'm saying it to say this. We got two tales of two different cities, Chicago and New York, two black mayors. So the black folks, right, because of immigration, they want to do a recall with Mayor Brandon Johnson because of a sanctuary city. He's not doing enough to get rid of these illegal aliens, illegal immigrants. So the people are saying that there's buildings, the black community needs to be revitalized, there's homelessness, the money's not being there. However, with these immigrants under Biden, the Democratic Party, now all of a sudden there's funding, and the funding is going to these illegal immigrants. Same thing in New York with Mary Adams. So now what he does, and you correct me if I'm wrong because I'm in and out.
You are wrong, but go ahead and finish your wrong point, because the funds that you are talking about, would not go into the cities anyway. When you are funded around issues, that is not the same funding that you deal with education or home, in terms of home mortgages or whatever the city may be mandating. They cannot just take money from dealing with homeland security or with immigration and just put it in another pot. So you are wrong. When the federal government sends money down or when taxpayers pay money, that money is designated. That's not up to Mayor Johnson or Mayor Adams.
But however, there's been buildings, right, in Harlem that's been renovated to house these illegal immigrants. Am I right? They need housing accommodations,
right?
Correct?
And that's coming out of the budget that they're dealing with immigration. The question is, then ask yourself a logical question. If it was not earmarked to deal with immigration, then why hadn't they already rehabbed those buildings?
Right. So that's the whole argument.
That is not the whole argument. That is exposing why they are now being able to rehab some when they couldn't rehab before because they didn't have the housing money to do it.
Okay. All right. So now let's get back to New York.
All right.
So now, are the black people wrong for supporting or going against Mayor Eric Adams because he's saying that he needs and he wants more done to stop the illegal immigrants?
I don't think that they're going against him for that. I think that there are some that are for, some that are against him. I think that a lot of them are against him saying he will do it the way Trump wants it done. There are many of us that say you've got to have immigration policy, that people cannot just come and you don't have some kind of border protocol. But that's not what Trump is saying. And Trump is saying that he's raiding and taking people, separating families. He don't care if kids is with their mamas or not. And he's doing it to Haitians, not just Mexicans. He called Haiti an asshole country. So don't confuse those of us that are saying that we're not with the Trump policy that Eric is getting close to, then we're not with immigration policy. We are with immigration policy. I am anyway. But I'm not what Trump is talking about.
Okay, all right, that's fine. But now, to give you an example, remember, and then for your listeners, there was an incident on the train in which a lady got burnt up and she died. And this was committed by an immigrant, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so now he's saying that based on this administration and based on this policy, that crime is going down in reference to these illegal immigrants. So if that's true,
wait a minute. An immigrant burned up a lady on the train, and
that's just the name.
You named it.
That's just to name one instance.
All right, but I'm saying he says that crime's going down. Who is he?
That he said he's claiming that crime is
Who
going
is he?
down.
Who is he?
This is Mayor Adams.
All right. Well, I don't know who you're talking about. You brought up two mayors. I don't know what you're talking
I'm
about.
sorry, Mayor Eric in New York. I'm going to focus.
All right.
on
So
New York.
you're saying that he brought up the woman that was burned on the subway, and what does that have to do with crime going down?
No, well, that's his example. But because of the policy in terms of getting out these illegal immigrants, which you couldn't do under the Democratic policy and under the administration, now that Trump is in here, now that Trump is making this whole, which we can see even in Connecticut with ICE, there is an effort to get these illegal immigrants. So now,
I don't have an argument with getting people out that are not here illegally. I have an argument with you separating them from their children that may have been born here. I have an argument with you turning them around. And if you're going to use the example of the guy on the train that committed a murderous, debaucherous act, then why wasn't the mayor against what Daniel Penny did on the train? when he choked the black man to death. You can't have two sets of standards now in the train.
Right. You know,
And he
Reverend,
defended
I
that.
understand that. Right, I
Whoa,
understand that.
whoa. When you were talking, I let you make your point. Hear my point clearly and answer my point, since you made one, and I answered it directly. That it was all right for a white ex-Marine to choke a man to death that now has been given a big job. But you're going to use one mentally ill immigrant to say we should separate people's families and immigrants should be all responsible for him? All whites are not responsible for Daniel Penny.
Mary Adams, right? If crime in New York is going down, and it's because the illegal immigrants that are committing crimes are being deported, then what I'm saying that
wait a minute. When did he say? When did he say crime went down?
Yeah, this was on Fox News because it's
no wonder you saying all this foolishness. When did he say? No, you come on. When did he say crime was? When did he say crime was going down?
Statistically, so
all right, he couldn't have been saying. He couldn't have been saying that crime was going down because of Trump. Trump only been in 3 weeks, so if crime has been going. What do you mean? No, that's a fact.
Because of the policies, Rev. Because of the policies.
But he could. They have not even tested the crime going down in the last 3 weeks. The crime was going down under Biden. I'm glad you said that. Crime was going down all last year while Biden and Harris was still in. So it does not have anything to do with immigration. You know, a friend of mine used to say a fish wouldn't get caught if he kept his mouth shut. You just talk too long. Thank you for your call. Try again. You kept talking. You done talked yourself right into it. Problem is, I listen to what y'all say, and I analyze what y'all say. Let me go to Cincinnati, Ohio, the buzz, to my man MP Williams.
Al Sharpton. Hello?
Yes.
Hey, Brother Sharpton, how are you today, man?
I'm doing fine.
That's what I want to hear. I'll be quick. I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you about a person and a place and hear what you have to say. And I want to make a comment at the end. I'll be real quick. The place is called Top Notch Enterprise. And the person is my partner, Mr. Willie Glenn.
Well, Willie Glenn was James Brown's first cousin. They grew up in the same bed in their aunt's house when James Brown's father went to service. And Willie Glenn was his, ran Top Notch along with Al Gardner. And when I used to run with James Brown, Willie Glenn used to look out for me. And when Mr. Brown went to jail when he was older, Willie Glenn came to New York, stayed with me a while. I stayed with Mr. Glenn in Augusta. He was his first cousin and genuine relative.
Absolutely. He had mentioned me to Mr. Brown. I was in line to become his guitar player when he got out of prison, but I never did make it, man. Keith Jenkins got that spot.
Yeah, sure. I know Keith. Wow.
Yeah, that's my buddy. That's my buddy. But that's all I got.
I loved Willie Glenn. Willie Glenn was a great guy. He really looked out for me on the road.
We would ride through Augusta.
Yep.
And he would show me all. We had a good time all the time down there. That was my partner.
Wow. You know what you're talking about, because everybody would know Willie Glenn unless they was all the way in the inside. And it brings fond memories to me for you to call his name. I wish he was around now, because you could always depend on him to tell you the truth. Willie Glenn. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Right after this. As you grow, as you become more of what you always wanted to be, could be, and should be, you're going to have haters. You're going to have critics. You're going to have people jealous and envious. You're going to have some things you win, some things you lose. But winners never quit. They never submit to failure. I had a person that used to use this expression, this person I knew, has said that they had eradicated the word failure from their vocabulary. Setbacks every now and then, but never fail. And I've lived by that. I've taken more hits than most public figures. But I never let them stop me because I expected that. It's a sign of success. If no one's taking a shot at you, it might be because you're not worth the shot. If others are taking a shot at you, it says that you are of value and you're of their concern. I often talk about how I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, but when we go to the South, every Christmas, when my parents were still together, we drive down Alabama to see my mother's folk, and then over to Florida to see my father's folk. And I remember we were in Alabama one year, I was very young, maybe 5 or 6, and my maternal grandmother was talking to me and my sister, about 3 years older than me. She said, y'all growing up in the North, y'all don't know nothing about farming. She said, I'll tell you one thing. She said, you see that pen over there? I said, yeah. Look, yeah, Grandma. She said, yeah, the pigs and the hogs in that pen. And she said, the one way you always know what hog you hit is if you throw a brick in a pile of hogs or a pen of hogs. The one that hollers is the one you hit. Remember that in all aspects of your life. Now, I remember that Grandma told me that. So when I get criticized, you get all these really vitriolic, crazy criticism based on absolute lies and exaggerations. I think about Grandma. I said, I must have hit that hard because he's screaming. He's hollering. It would be hollering if I didn't hit him. So just keep going. And know that your goal wouldn't be worthwhile if others didn't want it, or others didn't want you to achieve it. Shows a value. If what you after nobody cares about, it might not be anything of value. Keep going. And be clear, like I said in the gym this morning. Be disciplined because the price, that's the price of entry. And discipline requires that you keep going no matter what. And don't have people around you that are not focused and going somewhere. They may not be in your field, they may not be going where you're going, but they're going somewhere. They're driven. A low-effort person is an insult to your intelligence. Don't be around low-effort people. Don't be around people that think in a small box. Be around people that think big, that drive themselves to big things, to do big things. Because their energy will support your energy. If you're around low-effort people, people with low-level dreams, boxed-in self-concepts, they will drain your energy. They will lower your expectations. They will poison your mentality. You cannot be around people that bring you down. You gotta have people that confirm where you are and help inspire you, and you inspire them to go further up. Have a great day. So we are fighting. That's why I said to deal with this DEI situation, you must be disciplined and do studying, because unless you do structural change, we'll keep coming right back to this over and over again. I spoke Wednesday night at Yale University, and I told them students, some of those brightest students in the country, Yale, Harvard, I spoke at Yale, and told them there is a structural problem, which is why Trump and Vance and President Elon Musk they can come in and put us backward because the structure was never corrected. They walk in the door and say NDI, because structurally they can make that stand. We've got to break the corporate world from doing it and then straighten out the structure of how this country is. Why we ought to be sending people to Congress is not sending them to Congress because they had the robocalls call your house, but they're committed to the structural change of this country. What Trump is successful on is playing on a weak structure, so he can make it go either way. It should not be so unclear that you can play the game either set of way. It must be firm that you got to repair the damage done to the children of the slave and straighten out the structure that we are not 3/5 human. We are full human beings that built this country and never got paid. That's what reparations is.
No justice, no justice, no justice. What do we want? What do we want? We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go. We gonna shine and shake. Give me a papa glory, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water, children. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. He's so good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. Sometimes He has set me free. I feel so good. God has smiled on me. Oh yeah. He's been good to me. One more time. God has smiled on me. Every day of my life, I feel it. You give me strength and energy. God help me to sing. He's been good to me. Oh yeah.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton of Brooklyn, New York. I've been traveling around the country talking to the radio announcers, the church people, and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body, if He woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how he started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King say, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepped into the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's make
Don't forget, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. I was just on the phone with one of our senators who'll be on this weekend. We've got to deal with this whole question of now Trump is stacking the cabinet. Kash Patel will probably be passed through the Senate this afternoon. We already see everybody that he's got through. The Republicans have put him through, even those that are unqualified, like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., like Hegsteth in defense, like Tulsi Gabbard. Just we're going to deal with this on the air. We're going to deal with what they're doing with trying to take all the federal employees down, whether the legalities of that, how the Democrats can stop it, and the phase of the Democrats in terms of a real opposition, as well as other issues, of course, we'll be dealing with. Watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC, both Saturday and Sunday. And then if you're in the New York, Connecticut, New Jersey area, come and be with me Saturday morning, Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Be with me at the House of Justice. Our Saturday morning rallies, legendary. People, the one man came, said, I'm from Kenya, and I am here for a week, and I changed my flight to come in early. My business starts Monday, but I wanted to come in early to be here at Saturday rally. He listens to the show in Kenya, watches it on YouTube now that we're on there. So make sure you're there. And, of course, the National Action Network Convention. Talking about Kenya ambassadors are coming from everywhere and joining many of our elected officials, state attorney generals, on how they're going to block Trump. We're going to have our business leaders. We're going to deal with DEI, and we're going to announce the findings of our research on who we should be boycotting and the direct action campaign that we're going to launch to boycott them, and how we're going to measure the effect of it. And, of course, everybody, Stacey Abrams and Dr. Michael Eric Dyson and others will be conducting workshops or conversations with us. And I'm going to have, of course, at our annual Keepers of the Dream dinner, Martin III and I, we're honoring, among others, Patti LaBelle. She'll be there. So make sure you sign up now and be a part of National Action Network's convention at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. And or you can call the toll-free number. They'll sign you up on the phone at 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651. All right, let me go to Frank in Virginia. Frank, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hey, very good afternoon, Reverend. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Always a privilege and honor, sir. I just find it interesting, sir, that people that had voted for the current president, particularly in these red states, did not believe they was going to be punished. And I think that they are wrong. And it concludes that he do not care enough to even get his own people who voted for him any grief.
Right.
He then took a bulldozer to our democracy. So my only question now is to the present and the past leaders. When you stood up and raised your hand to take an oath to withhold, to protect, and defend this nation, was you serious then when you did it? Because if you were serious then, you should be serious now. We need you. Where are you? We shouldn't have to have GPS looking for you. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you for your call. I appreciate it. Let me go to Leon in Dallas, Texas. Leon.
Good afternoon, Reverend Al.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, first I wanted to say I saw you on Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary, looking dapper as normal. I wanted to say,
oh, thank you.
You represent.
Thank you.
Yes, you really do. Roots 2016 popped up on my Fire Stick, and it's the technology is just excellent, and it makes you feel like you're actually in Africa, actually in on the slave ship. It's a different technology that wasn't available when the original Roots came up, and I would highly recommend it. I didn't even realize.
So give us again how you get it and how it pops up.
I have a Fire Stick,
right,
and I think it's Tubi or one of those free platforms. When you look at things just come up.
Okay.
That you don't even know exist, and it just popped up. And I said, "Oh, I didn't know they made another Roots in 2016."
Right.
And I started looking at it to see, was this legit or what? It says it's based on, the original Alex Haley Roots. And it's, Kunta Kinte is the name of the guy that that is featured, just like LeVar Burton. It's the same plot, storyline, and everything, but the technology is much better, and it actually makes you feel like you're actually participating in the drama. So yeah. But one of the main things I want to talk about is, are you familiar with the speech that Trump made on January the 19th at the Capital One Center when he said that he was going to be representing America at the Olympics because Elon Musk used computers to rig the election?
No, I'm not familiar with that speech. Trump said this?
Okay. Yes, he did. And it's if I had your cell phone number, I could text you the link, but we're not gonna go in with that. But it's there, and he did say it, and I've texted that link to a bunch of my friends, and he did say that. And in fact, Jasmine Crockett commented on it. And if you Google it up, you'll see it. And it's this is.
Give me the date and location again of this speech.
It was January the 19th, the day before the inauguration, and it was at the Capital One Center.
Okay.
It was a huge crowd. And because of your platform, I can put it out here. And this is the second biggest story of the century. The reason I say it's the second one because the gentleman that went to Capitol Hill and said that the government has spaceships and different things like that. That's, to me, that's the biggest story of the century.
Yeah, that's huge.
But this one is the second. So this needs to be looked into because, well, when he said it was stolen, all these people went up in there and they had January 6th and blah, blah, blah. So now he's saying it was stolen by his people. And because I have a computer background and I know that these results are transmitted, say, from California to wherever CNN tabulates them and tells everybody, they don't use Pony Express. They don't use carrier pigeons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They use digital electronics through a network.
Right.
So with the kind of money that Elon Musk has, he could pay somebody to do it, and it's highly possible.
Yeah, I want to pull that up. I'm glad you called in. Thank you for your call, Leon. Thank you. Let me say Keith Harrison on comments saying, I'm registering today for the NAN Convention as soon as your broadcast is completed today. Don't want to miss a thing. Thank you. And I'm going to, when you're there, Keith, make sure you come and tell me who you are. Shake your hand. I'm in and out of every session. Ayatunde, I think I'm saying it right. Ayatunde Garrett says, I'm hoping to attend the convention, Rev. I have such respect for you and your love for our people. Keep the fire burning. Well, you make sure you come over and see me too. I don't just have a convention and stay up in the room. I try to make it through every workshop, come down and talk to people because I want to meet a lot of the people that call me on radio. I know your voice, but I want to Look your eyeball, know who you are. Let me go to the Golden Nugget in Atlanta, Georgia, WAOK.
You to attend the convention. Hello, Brother Al.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Brother Al. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Listen, I just want to make a couple quick comments, man, with this issue with our HBCUs and them cutting the funding and everything. You know, like I'm like, all of this is going on in the country. Like, where are our elite entertainers and professional sports figures? Why aren't they? And understand me, Brother Al. Why aren't they collaborating together to go in the city, especially here in Atlanta, to go in Atlanta and show Trump and them, hey, look, man, we can be about our people's business. We don't need to depend on y'all because we all can come together and support our black university. Okay, number one, I wanted to say that. It's a shame that you got highly elite entertainers that we put up there on top.
Right.
When it's in the music, in the sports industry, in entertainment in general. And I do not see not only do I not see them, I don't hear their voices. The only voice that I hear is that Congresswoman, Jasmine Crockett.
Right.
Okay? I want to say that. Now, the other thing that I want to say, Brother Al, is, and it may sound chauvinistic, but I guarantee you it is not, because I love our black women. But, you know, when are our women going to stop falling for the banana and the tailpipe? In the 70s, they came with them with welfare, said, you know, keep us out of the house while they lock us up and put us in jail. We can't, when we get out of jail, we can't get a job. They turned right around here now and created the single black women. Okay, they've collaborated together amongst themselves, and they separated our families. When you go in a lot of these jobs, Brother Al, what you're seeing is a lot of our sisters in the positions over men, telling men this is a trick. And it's game. I can recognize game because I'm from the hood. But anyway, you know, I can see what's going on. And it's you know, shame on us. A lot of this is shame on us, okay? Because we've been playing this game with them. I was born in the 50s. We've been playing this game with them for a long time. I watched Martin go through it. I went to the Million Man March movement. I've listened to the minister speak on us being fully self-sufficient and economically independent.
Right.
But we still keep playing their game. It's time out. And they showing us it's time out because they put this goofball in office. Okay, now we got this. And the sad thing about it is we got little babies. We got children.
And grandchildren. That's right. Thank you for your call. Let me take my break. Thank you for calling.
Okay.
All right, Golden Nugget. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton right after this. I think the other day, I was reading that scripture, challenge about the transfiguration. And you know, I used to hear preachers say they would love to talk to this one or that one, or communicate this one or that one. And I thought about, I would love to talk to James and John. Jesus went up on the mountain and brought his disciples with him. And the Bible said they went to sleep, James and John. And I would really want to know, why did you go to sleep when Jesus was going up to do something that we never understood all that happened because y'all were asleep? Now, they said that they appeared to be that he was talking to Moses and Elijah. I wonder what Moses and Elijah told Jesus, son of God, why would he need to talk to Moses and Elijah? We'll never know because the disciples were asleep. Maybe Moses told them, don't worry about Calvary, because at the Red Sea, God, your father made a way for me. We'll never know. Maybe Elijah told them to appoint your disciples carefully. I had to throw mine on Elisha. We don't know what kind of counsel he got. We don't know the reason he went up there. Did they bless him? Did they prepare him? When he came later and said, are you prepared to drink of this cup? Did they tell him, you got to drink of the cup? We'll never know because the disciples were asleep. I come to tell you today that while Trump is trying to roll back time, The disciples are asleep. Y'all are sleeping through a revolution. You run around here talking about how much money Musk got. You run around here talking about how strong Trump is. You're sleeping through a revolution. You're trying to give people a way out rather than to dig in. Preachers talking about feel good. Get in the mirror and repeat these affirmations. I don't care what you repeat in the mirror. It ain't gonna change your situation till you get up and do something. I watch some of these preachers, it gets me sick. Touch somebody and tell them so-and-so. Don't touch me, you might get slapped back. I want to know what we gonna do about this. God is speaking to us. But you sleep. That's like Jesus went and conferred with Moses and Elijah. We need to confer with Martin and Malcolm and Rosa Parks. Let those that are gone past confer with us like Elijah and Moses conferred with Jesus, and they would tell us if we stand up, God will hold us up. Y'all are asleep, but I've been talking to the ancestors, and they told me that God will make a way for his children. I've been talking to the ancestors. They said that the race isn't given to the swift, nor to the strong, but those that'll hold out to the end. I've been talking to the ancestors. Y'all are asleep, but the ancestors told me there is a God that'll make a way for his children. He walks with me. He talks with me. Tells me I'm his own. Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton. Be ready for the National Action Network's National Convention, April 2nd through the 5th, 2025, in New York at the Sheraton. This year, and the 57th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King, they're trying to take back everything he stood and died for. We convene every year in April to make sure they know that they killed the dreamer, not the dream. We have workshops on everything from business development to dealing with our legal needs, from police reform all the way to how we deal with sentencing, how we deal with immigration, how we deal with the arts and entertainment. We have big names that come every year, but don't come for the big names, come for the big plans and the big execution. Register now, because with this year, as we are under assault with DEI, under assault with ending the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department, under assault with now consent decrees and all are neutralized. If there ever was a time that you should come to a National Action Network convention, now's the time. We don't need a lot of philosophizing. We don't need a lot of showing how smart you are. We need action. We plan action and then we go and do action. I'm looking for you. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. We have no registration fee. You don't pay to register. Just get here and let's get it on. National Action Network Convention, April 2nd through the 5th. I'm going to look for you there.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you're very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let me go to comments on our live stream at National Action Network. I'm reading Par Auga? P-A-R-G-A. Okay, Par Auga. Says, Reverend Sharpton, why don't you stop with the deceit and just explain to your listeners that your meeting with Governor Hochul, we lost it. And anyway, he tried to bring it up and lost it. The person said that, why did I meet with Hochul when I'd already said that I felt that it was a quid pro quo that had been established between Eric Adams, the mayor, and the president, and that I had already said that, so why was I meeting with her about waiting on the judge to decision before she calling him to resign? And let me assume you were legitimately confused. I won't assume you just want to take a shot at the governor or me. I met with the governor because the governor asked to meet with me. That's one. Second of all, she wanted to know whether I advised her to remove Mayor Adams. Nobody was talking about whether I was going to meet with her to ask him to resign. She was talking about her removal. Him resigning, I would have to talk to him or say that publicly. So let's not confuse resigning with removing. I said to her, for her to legally have grounds, and even that would be questioned, to remove him or not, is based on, first of all, they've never removed a mayor. A governor's never removed a mayor in the 235-year history of the state of New York. The charter says you need to remove him based on he has done a criminal act or that he is disabled, disability, and can't function anymore. If the judge comes back, and we're still waiting on the judge, and says that he agrees, disagrees, but let the Justice Department cancel the trial, there is no charges. So you don't have a legal ground to remove him based on he broke the law, because there are no crimes no more if the judge come back. That's why I said to her, wait on the judge to come back. Otherwise, she can remove him and they come back today or tomorrow and say there is no crime, she'd have to put him back. So that would have been the sham. In terms of disability, the question is, are they talking about only physical disability or that he's lost the confidence of the people? And that she'd have to argue out. So that's why I met with her, to go over the options she is faced with as governor, not me. I've already said my say. And that is that I feel it is a quid pro quo and that he and the city is being held hostage. So I take your comments that you kind enough to take your time to send in with the assuming that you meant the best of intentions. You just didn't get all your facts right. And write me any time. I'm joined, as I am every Thursday at this hour, by the CEO of the Protestant Welfare Agencies of New York, and she is the vice chair of the National Action Network's National Board, Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin. How you doing, Jenny?
Doing all right, sir. I'm doing all right. I had to go. When you were out a couple of weeks ago, I think I shared with the audience, encouraging them to get their shingles vaccine, that I had shingles, and so I had to do a follow-up visit with my physician just to make sure that everything is in order. And I am happy to report everything's in order.
Well, that's wonderful to hear. I know I talked to you a couple of times. You were in pain, but you wouldn't. You was laying on your back, but taking care of business anyway.
Trying my best. It's going to take a lot more to take me out at this particular moment in my life.
Yeah.
And in a particular moment in this nation.
Now,
thank you, sir.
I want to get into, I really want you to break down, and I have people waiting to talk to you, but I want you to break down this master bill, this huge bill that the Republicans are trying to do as one big bill, and the others that trying to say it needs to be broke down. But before we go into that, because I had this question, I want you to weigh in on the weight that we're in with the federal judge coming back on the case of the Justice Department wanting to remove the charges against Eric Adams without prejudice. I mean, without prejudice. So I want you to be able to break that down, because I think, and I'm taking some call, I know some people are trolling, but if I take people at face value, maybe they honestly don't understand the difference between your position as a lawyer and policy wonk and leader in the community, and my position leading the National Civil Rights Group, and a governor. Because I cannot tell the governor to do what I could do, because they could sue the state. She could be overturned by the state legislature. So explain where we are and what this process is going to have to deal with as we go forward on this question of Mayor Eric Adams.
Right. So what's at the core of all of this is the question of whether or not the mayor is able to carry out his duties and his responsibilities for the people of the city of New York without being compromised. And the challenge that we have before us is that because he had charges hanging over his head for bribery, corruption, matters related to foreign entities, and then there was this possibility of an additional charge of obstruction of justice.
Hold 1 minute, because I want you to be able to elaborate on this. Let's take our break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Jones, Austin. Be right back.
I've been traveling around the country talking to the radio announcers, the church people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body. If he woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how he started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King say, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepping to the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. One more time. I want to say this song. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Get up. God has smiled on me. I feel it. Then I went on backstage at the Apollo Theater and I saw a man come out. They call him the King of Soul, James Brown. And James Brown said, Reverend, don't you worry. I started out as a shoe shine boy. I started out as a convict. I started out uneducated. But I learned to sing my song. And I sung it all over the world. I told him it was a man's world. I told him about the big payback. I told him Papa got a brand new bag. And all over the world, they can hear my voice. But Reverend, don't you frown. Don't you bow your head. Tell him what you told me, Brother Brown. I said, now God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Yeah. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I went home and I told my mother what Brown told me. And she said, son, even though we don't have much, we don't need relief. All we need is belief. And she said he didn't tell you no lie, because the Lord will take care of you. God sits high, but he looks down low. And every time you get discouraged, every time you're burning down, all you have to do is think of the things that God made a way for you and look toward the heavens. Lift your eyes to the hills and say, God, 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 come smile on me. Now then, the God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. That has been so good to me. Yes, he has. I say, God smile on me. He has set me free. And I know all over the country, smile on me. We need jobs. We need a way to make it. We need help. We need jobs. We need a way to make some money to feed our families and raise our bread. We need a way to survive, so we don't need crime as a survival kit. We just need a little bit. But don't give the hope up. Don't lose the faith, because God will smile on you. God will give you the strength. God will make a way for you. Adam Great Power said, keep the faith. Keep the faith, baby. I hear Robert Kennedy saying that it's not the dream of, but it's the dream that'll live on forever. Just know that God will smile on you. Dr. King had a dream. Dr. King said, I went to the mountaintop, but I didn't stop there. I looked over and saw the promised land. I hear Brother Malcolm saying, don't sit on the stoop. Stand up and be a man. Respect yourself. Be somebody. Then I hear the brothers in the Hispanic community say, I'm going to stand up and be a man. I'm going to do the best I can. I had a reaper say, I don't care what time you come home, but just give me some respect when you get there. Lord, God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God smiled on me. You've been so good to me. Sit down. And as we move on in history, let us remember that if we look to God, God has the answer to all of our problems. God is still the same God he was years ago, and we can still make it. We can still hold on like Frederick Douglass did. We can still keep him on like Martin Luther King did. We can still ride on the way everyone that made it did. They didn't have much, but they had a whole lot of faith. They didn't have money, but they had a lot of determination. We know that God will look out for his children, that God will make a way out of no way. If you just keep the faith and refuse to lose, and God will make a way, because God's children don't have color. God's children just have will. And
I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. Go ahead, Jenny. You was breaking down the saga of Mayor Eric Adams and Governor Hochul.
I'm appreciating maybe the easiest and simplest way of coming at this is helping people to appreciate that, as we all know, mayors are responsible for representing the people of their city and serving the people of their cities as best they can. And in New York City, we have something called sanctuary city laws, which says that people who are immigrants, whether undocumented or, here illegally, that the city is not going to just outright turn them over to federal authorities. That, they may receive shelter, they may receive food supports and the like, but that the city of New York, the city officials, cops, and others are not going to hand them over, school officials. And what Donald Trump wants to do, President Trump, he campaigned on it, and some say he won, on a promise of getting rid of illegal immigrants. Our mayor has been indicted with, charges of bribery, corruption. They said he was likely to be charged with obstruction of justice for destroying evidence in connection with the first indictment. What happened about a week ago was that Donald Trump's people moved to have the charges that are against him, for which he was about to stand trial, removed, essentially dismissed without prejudice, because they said that he cannot carry out the immigration orders and criminal justice matters for Donald Trump with the charges hanging over him.
Now, wait, let me just edit in there, including in Donald Trump's policies against sanctuaries, that they would now have the right to go in churches, hospitals, and schools and grab people, which used to be off limits to ICE and people. All right, go ahead. And Mayor Adams agreed to this. Go ahead.
That's exactly right. And so when Trump's people, when his city attorney general, decided to go into court to have a motion to dismiss the charges against him, and it said one of the reasons for that was that they needed him to carry out the immigration orders, it looked to many people like a quid pro quo, like, I'll get rid of the charges against you if you carry out Donald Trump's policies, which, because of the city and state laws, actually conflict with local law. And so many people were incensed, many people infuriated, and essentially felt like Eric Adams had done a quid pro deal, that he'd taken care of himself at the expense of New Yorkers. And so there's been a pushback. And one of the ways you push back is for Governor Hochul to remove him, or for what they call an inability committee comprised of city leaders to take action to remove him. If the motion to dismiss that is still being heard and decided upon by the federal district court judge is acted upon and the charges are dismissed, the governor cannot remove him on that basis. And she then would have to show that he is unable to carry out his duties. The challenge that she would have in doing that is that one of the ways that you would demonstrate that is what actions has he taken already that show that he's compromised. Is it simply that he cut a deal and he could be compromised, or that he actually cut a deal and he has already compromised the people? Now, some have pointed to the fact that Mayor Adams, shortly after cutting this deal, said that ICE could come into Rikers Island and begin looking at criminals in Rikers Island and take them out. Some say that that's a way of showing that he's compromised. Others say that that's not enough. And so what she's doing now is saying, I don't yet have enough evidence to say that he's compromised, but I'm going to try to put in place Governor Hochul is saying, I'm going to try to put in place rules that essentially are greater in oversight to make sure that he's not selling New York City out if these charges are actually dismissed.
Because she can't.
Because
she cannot dismiss it. I was answering the person that came and did text us on our live stream. The reason I met with her is she cannot make a decision on whether or not she's going to take him out legally until we know whether the judge is going to keep the charges. And
that's exactly right.
And she cannot move into the second part unless she feels she has enough evidence one way or another. My position was clear, that I think that Trump and Holman has put him in a position of being a hostage. But I'm not the governor. I can say what I want to say. She's got to be dealing with, if she's going to make a legal decision, she can give whatever opinion she wants, but if she's going to legally remove him, she has to know what the law is. The law doesn't give her the right to say, I'm removing you because of you're accused of crimes, if the judge takes that off the table. So that was the basis of the meeting. And again, I'm assuming that you were asking in good faith. That's why I wanted to take the time.
And as you pointed out, he'd also have a right to be heard.
Well,
so she couldn't just walk in there and just remove him.
Right.
It would go through a process.
There would have to be hearings, and he'd have the right to be heard. Mm-hmm. This would almost be election day after, before they get to a decision if she did it, because it's never been done before in the history of the city. And then what happens to the city in the interim? That's my concern. Let me go to the bill that the Congress is looking at. There are some that's saying it needs to be broken down into at least two bills, that the Trumpsters are saying we want you to vote on one big bill. What is in the one big bill Trump is trying to push through?
So here's the deal. The reason Trump wants one big bill is because you only get one chance at reconciliation every year. Reconciliation bill is where you look at revenues and expenses, revenues and expenditures, and you make adjustments to the budget. You only get to do that once a year, and you only get, and with the reconciliation bill, you only need a simple majority of senators to vote to pass it. You only need 51 senators. So what Trump is asking for is that everything be put in one bill at one time, because he knows that if he doesn't get everything all at once, he's going to have a harder time getting something later on in the year, because he'll actually need 60 senators, meaning he'll need Democrats to come on board. What the House has put forward is this one, as Trump calls it, a one beautiful, big, beautiful bill. It's one bill that would give him his tax cuts, a renewal of his tax cuts to the amount of $4.5 trillion. That would look like, for the 1%, people in the highest 1% bracket, the billionaires, them getting about another $70,000 that they get to keep in their pockets every year, to people in the lowest income bracket, people, making under $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, getting no more than $1,000 a year back. Donald Trump wants to push through that $4.5 trillion tax cut. Now, if he's going to push through that $4.5 trillion tax cut benefiting the wealthy most, that's going to be a big cut in revenues. When you cut revenues, because we have a huge deficit, we're over $30 trillion right now in deficit, meaning that the government is spending way more than it's taking in by way of revenues, you've got to cut spending. So what the House bill provides for is that he gets his $4.5 trillion in revenue cuts, tax cuts that benefit the wealthy most, and then they'd go in and they'd cut. They'd cut things like Social Security. They'd cut Medicaid. They'd cut food supports, food stamps, food pantries. They might cut more of the federal employment workforce that has everything to do with a lot of black and brown people. The consequence of that is that the people who would be impacted most are low-income people. What Trump doesn't realize is that it would have a big impact on red states, and you have a lot of white people in those states. So essentially what's happening right now is that then we're going to see those cuts, that the Social Security, the Medicaid, and all that only amounts to about $2 trillion. So what conservative senators who are Republican are concerned about is that the House bill is going to increase the deficit. It's going to take up the deficit by more than $2 trillion. They don't want to do that. They want to separate the spending cuts from the tax cut renewal plan and come back to tax cut renewal at a later time. Trump doesn't want that because he knows it's going to be hard to get it through, because those tax cuts are going to increase the deficit. And you'll have conservative senators as well as Democrats saying, no go. And right now, you'll have spending cuts that are going to hurt people who are in need of Medicaid supports, food supports, Social Security not being cut, and the like. Trump knows it's easier to get it through all in one shot with one big, beautiful bill, even though that one big, beautiful bill is going to hurt people who've long been marginalized because they don't have high incomes.
And see, I think people need to be clear on that, because the tax cuts that he's given, which disproportionately, as you stated, Jenny, is a tax cut for the wealthy, for the billionaire class. And to make up the deficit, he's talking about, the bill is talking about literally taking money out of Medicaid, Social Security, etc. And that's why they want it as one big bill, the Republicans, so they can hide it that it's tax cuts. They would use the headline of the things that they want to project. If you do it independent, then they'd have to say we are voting, or you do it as a secondary bill, we're voting to take money out of Medicaid, take money out of Social Security, take money out of unemployment. They don't want that. If they can do it large, one large bill, they can hide all that in, and they'll be debating about it like it's footnotes when it's actually their foot on our necks. So I think that that is very important. We understand that. Let's see, can we go to the phones before we take the break? No, we better take the break. All right, we are coming back. Jennifer Jones Austin, Sharpton, right after this. Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton. Be ready for the National Action Network's National Convention, April 2nd through the 5th, 2025, in New York at the Sharpton. This year, and the 57th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King, they're trying to take back everything he stood and died for. We convene every year in April to make sure they know that they killed the dreamer, not the dream. We have workshops on everything from business development to dealing with our legal needs, from police reform all the way to how we deal with sentencing, how we deal with immigration, how we deal with the arts and entertainment. We have big names that come every year, but don't come for the big names, come for the big plans and the big execution. Register now, because with this year, as we are under assault with DEI, under assault with ending the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department, under assault with now consent decrees and all the neutralized. If there ever was a time that you should come to a National Action Network convention, now's the time. We don't need a lot of philosophizing. We don't need a lot of showing how smart you are. We need action. We plan action and then we go and do action. I'm looking for you. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. We have no registration fee. You don't pay to register. Just get here and let's get it on. National Action Network Convention, April 2nd through the 5th. I'm going to look for you there. I think the other day, I was reading that scripture, challenge about the transfiguration. And you know, I used to hear preachers say they would love to talk to this one or that one, or communicate this one or that one. And I thought about, I would love to talk to James and John. Jesus went up on the mountain and brought his disciples with him. And the Bible said they went to sleep, James and John. And I would really want to know, why did you go to sleep when Jesus was going up to do something that we never understood all that happened because y'all were asleep? Now, they said that they appeared to be that he was talking to Moses and Elijah. I wonder what Moses and Elijah told Jesus. Jesus, son of God, why would he need to talk to Moses and Elijah? We'll never know because the disciples were asleep. Maybe Moses told them, don't worry about Calvary, because at the Red Sea, God, your father made a way for me. We'll never know. Maybe Elijah told them to appoint your disciples carefully. I had to throw mine on Elijah. We don't know what kind of counsel he got. We don't know the reason he went up there. Did they bless him? Did they prepare him? When he came later and said, are you prepared to drink of this cup? Did they tell him, you got to drink of the cup? We'll never know because the disciples were asleep. I come to tell you today that while Trump is trying to roll back time, the disciples are asleep. Y'all are sleeping through a revolution. You run around here talking about how much money Musk got. You run around here talking about how strong Trump is. You're sleeping through a revolution. You're trying to give people a way out rather than to dig in. Preachers talking about feel good. Get in the mirror and repeat these affirmations. I don't care what you repeat in the mirror. It ain't gonna change your situation till you get up and do something. I watch some of these preachers, it gets me sick. Touch somebody and tell them so-and-so. Don't touch me, you might get slapped back. I wanna know what we gonna do about this. God is speaking to us, but you sleep. That's like Jesus went and conferred with Moses and Elijah. We need to confer with Martin and Malcolm and Rosa Parks. Let those that are gone past confer with us like Elijah and Moses conferred with Jesus, and they would tell us if we stand up, God will hold us up. Y'all are asleep, but I've been talking to the ancestors, and they told me that God will make a way for his children. I've been talking to the ancestors. They said that the race isn't given to the swift, nor to the strong, but those that'll hold out to the end. I've been talking to the ancestors. Y'all are asleep, but the ancestors told me there is a God that'll make a way for his children. He walks with me. He talks with me. Tells me I'm his own.
And you know, there are quite a few people in this city who want more immigration enforcement, who don't think it's fair what's happening with the migrants, are uncomfortable with it. It's part of the reason why Donald Trump got more votes in this city last time around than he did when he first ran. How does Mayor Adams, how does he accomplish that without tarnishing it for everybody who may even want that? How does he continue to lead this city? Why has he not resigned?
You'd have to ask him. I really don't know. There are many that have said he should resign. But you'd have to say, though, even if he's right on the immigration policy, and he and I disagree, and we've talked about that disagreement on immigration policy, separation of families, just arbitrarily taking people, disregarding safe spaces like churches and schools is to me, unthinkable. But even if you agree with his immigration policy, do you then therefore give him criminal immunity? This is what we're talking about. You're setting a precedent that now if somebody's in office and doing something that you like, you can wipe them clean in terms of criminal prosecution. That's the threat. And as far as immigration policy, the same president that says he's cracking down on the people from Mexico and Haiti coming across the border just said that he would give refugee status to whites in South Africa that he thinks are being oppressed. And he's asking Canada to join us as a 51st state. You can't have it both ways. Either the country can't handle more, or we're saying we can only handle certain kind of people.
Certain kind of people. Powerful imagery there saying that Mayor Adams is on.
So we are fighting. That's why I said to deal with this DEI situation, you must be disciplined and do studying, because unless you do structural change, we'll keep coming right back to this over and over again. I spoke Wednesday night at Yale University, and I told them students, some of those brightest students in the country, Yale, Harvard, I spoke at Yale, and told them there is a structural problem, which is why Trump and Vance and President Elon Musk, they can come in and put us backward because the structure was never corrected. They walk in the door and say NDI, because structurally they can make that stand. We've got to break the corporate world from doing it and then straighten out the structure of how this country is. Why we ought to be sending people to Congress is not sending them to Congress because they had the robocalls call your house, but they're committed to the structural change of this country. What Trump is successful on is playing on a weak structure, so he can make it go either way. It should not be so unclear that you can play the game either set away. It must be firm that you got to repair the damage done to the children of the slave and straighten out the structure that we are not 3/5 human. We are full human beings that built this country and never got paid. That's what reparations is. Memorial service for victims of this wildfire tragedy. And the plane circled around the skies over New York. And I looked down and saw a statue that they brought me as a child going to public schools in Brooklyn, of a statue called Liberty that had inscribed in it, "Bring me your huddled masses that yearn to be free." And I thought about how now places of sanctuary, churches, hospitals, are now being told they can be invaded for those that were invited here by those that claimed the country would stand for freedom. We come tonight saying that we must have the courage to stand up for what this country has represented for centuries. There was a battle once between the Philistines and the Israelites. those that were trained about battles, those that had war training, were afraid to face the giant of Goliath. But a shepherd boy who'd never been to boot camp, who'd never been trained, had the courage to stand up and fight Goliath. And we pray tonight that we would have our little David in all of us. We may not have the powers of the state, but we all have a slingshot.
National Action Network's corporate headquarters in New York City. The Rev was just with us. He should be back momentarily, but I'm kicking it with our very own sister, Jennifer Jones Austin. Good afternoon, Sister Jennifer.
Yeah, you know I'm smiling from ear to ear. That was a nice, sweet surprise.
A little impromptu surprise here. Yeah, but as we know, thank you, same here. We know Rev is doing the good work, so he often has to step away, and I'm often taxed with the opportunity. But I always love Thursdays, as I always say, because I get to talk with Sister Jennifer Jones Austin. So y'all know I'm excited. We're taking your calls across the country. You can join in on the conversation by calling us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Certainly has been a very eventful Keeping It Real this afternoon, and we're going to keep it going. I know there's a lot of people that want to talk and want to, of course, really comment on the topics that we have been discussing, and certainly we want to absolutely give our audience, Keeping It Real, a moment and opportunity to do just that. So, Sister Jennifer, let's get back to the phones. I see Jerry holding on, listening to us from Wisconsin. Jerry, you're Keeping It Real. Good afternoon.
So I'm calling. How are you,
I'm
Miss
good. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm blessed. And Attorney Austin Jones.
Hello. Hello.
Hi. I got a question for you. Because Donald Trump ran for president. Okay. And he won. And he want to make all these changes. He's stacking the deck so he don't go to jail. And then Elon Musk, he got him over here running things. Donald Trump don't know how to run nothing. He ain't got enough 50 bird left on the branch. And he needs to start sweeping around his own front door before he try to sweep around somebody else's. Now, whoever the man is, and he got up there in the White House with him, he got his kids up there playing and stuff, and what kind of precedent is this? I don't understand.
Oh, Jerry, thank you so much for your comment there. Certainly, we know there's a lot. This is why, Sister Jennifer, we've got to stay involved. We know that, we are going to be confronted and we are dealing with major crises, even here in the city of New York, as I'm sitting here. But we are dealing with major crises across the country. And it's important that we not only elevate our voices, just like Sister Jerry said, we're upset about this. Like we got to speak out about our emotions in the moment. And I think that we sometimes negate the fact that we have feelings. We got emotions. Like we feel for what's going on in the country. We feel for our people. And so we have to take those moments to reflect and to really, and that's why I love Keeping It Real, because we provide this, this outlet is provided for us to be able to speak our minds, but we also need to speak that power to action. So I hope that Ms. Jerry, if you're not involved in National Action Network, you get involved in NAN, or you get involved in an organization that is on the front lines, really speaking to dealing with the actionary response to how we're feeling in this moment. And we've got to stay activated, Sister Jenny. And I think that now is the time for all of us to be involved, in whatever capacity we feel is, conducive to us, to our fight and to our struggle. But we got to be activated and we got to stay involved.
I'm right there with you. I'm reminded in this moment my father used to talk to me all the time, and he'd say, gain knowledge, gain power. And, when you are knowledgeable and thoughtful and you appreciate all that's going on, just as Jerry talked about, then that's what inspires you to be active and engaged. A lot of people are sitting around having voted for Donald Trump and now saying today, well, I didn't think that he was going to come for me. I thought he was just talking about the immigrants, not realizing, he was going to cut your jobs, or he was going to cut funding for health care and the National Institutes of Health, cut research for health care funding, possibly cut Medicaid, cut Social Security, cut funding for food supports, cut funding, for education, and so on and so forth. People thought that he was just going to take care of the people who they thought were their problems and not appreciate that he actually is the problem. And so it's important in this moment to, essentially, I love what you said about your emotions. Your emotions have to lead you into this moment. You feel angry, you feel hurt, you feel upset, you feel anxious, you feel nervous. There's a reason why. And now you've got to dig deep and stay engaged, try to be as knowledgeable as you can about these issues, so that you can then fight back. You can fight back in your local communities. You can fight back at the state level, and you can fight back at the federal level. This is what you got to do.
In many ways, Sister Jennifer, we're also, and I know that I spoke with you about this very thing, we've become, or it seems, and we could talk about, party versus party all day. That's not where I want to get at. But we have, in terms of our activism, need to be more actionary and not, or proactive and not reactive. I know that, a lot of the times, and especially now in this current climate, where we are just getting thrust by news after news, just thing after thing, it just seems like it never stops coming. Like, every day we wake up, we hear something else on the news. Well, he done stopped this. Well, he done cut that. But at the end of the day, we've got to be more proactive in our response instead of just reactionary. We react to everything, every little thing we're going to react to. But how do we get on top of, or in front of, as things are coming out, as things are being released, as things are happening, how do we get on top of that in terms of how we are actively involved in pursuing the change that we wish to see and not being so reactionary to these causes?
So, I think it's twofold. I think it's one, appreciating what your capacity is and where you can get support elsewhere. And so just as you were talking about getting involved and being a part of National Action Network, as an example, our convention is coming up April 2nd through 5th, where we're going to talk about a lot of the issues that are impacting us as a people, as a community, and the nation on the whole. That's where you gain information, you gain knowledge, and you can figure out ways that you can be actively engaged in your local communities. We have chapters across the country. That's another way of getting involved. But then what I also tell people is that you have to figure out what you can do in your own home environment. So here's the deal. They're cutting out DEI. They're trying to figure out how they cut out programs that have funded diversity and supports for people in communities who've long been made vulnerable. They're trying to figure out how they're going to cut funding, Title I funding that goes into our communities, Pell Grants that have supported tuition, assistance for low-income persons, many people who look like us. We've got to make sure that our children are educated, making sure that they are reading and math proficient, and not just being dependent upon the schools. And very often are failing them. So figure out how in your own communities, how in your local churches, how in your local, social justice organizations, we can build into our communities. How we educate our children so that they are able to be competitive. Because what we're seeing right now is that the government is going to possibly cut out funding to level the playing field, which was done because so much was deprived to our children. We've got to make sure that we're not sitting there going, well, the government wasn't making sure that our children had Title I supports, so they lost out even more. We have to make that up for our kids. That's the stuff we need to be doing at home and then being engaged on the larger front.
Let's get Todd in on the conversation. Todd, line 8, listening to us from Cincinnati on The Buzz. You're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Hey, Dominique. Hey, Jennifer.
How you doing?
Hey.
Cleveland, Ohio, WERE.
Okay.
So the Trump administration has now cut $600 million in grants through the Department of Education for what they term as being divisive teaching grants. These grants include what they claim to be critical race theory teaching through these grants. I haven't seen one that reflects that at all, and I've been looking. And anti-racist teaching. The argument behind that is that there's an overemphasis of teaching about racism in our history classes. I haven't seen that either. I've been looking. And a few other things. And so this is what we were talking about last week. We were talking about how, okay, if they want to really get rid of the Department of Education, they can't do that through the votes because they don't have the votes in the Senate, even amongst their own party. But they could defund a lot of things.
And that's a good point to make, Todd. That's a good point. I think people are missing that. Go ahead.
They can make a case. They can make a case for something being one way if the individual citizen population in the states don't come back and say, prove it. There's a report from the year 1848. A committee went to the state senate of Ohio. It was a well-noted report at one time, and basically it reflects that taxes are the citizens' property, and the property of the citizens is donated up through the government, so the government return it back in services, and it ultimately became the phrase that's on the front of the IRS building. Taxes are what we pay for a civilized society, or civilized society. Yeah. So the argument here is that, okay, well, if you're defunding these grants that are paid for through these tax dollars, through these state public school systems, this is the citizens' money, and to what degree are you reflecting the will of the citizen? Because you can't keep the money away from them because it is our property. The money is our property. And states do get to run their school systems as they so choose to do so within reason. And if you're making a claim, whoever you are, that you're giving favoritism to one race over the other, as though that's not something that should be done in this particular action of this particular curriculum for this particular purpose, then you have to make a case. You can't just drop it. These are the things that are causing these silly court actions that are taking away time from district state attorneys that have much better things to do with their time than fight foul behavior from the federal government. The money is the money of the citizen. Have either one of you seen any critical race theory talk?
That's good. That's good there. That's good, Todd. That's good stuff that you're saying.
It's really good. I haven't seen any critical race theory. They're just trying to say anything that even looks like you're focusing on diversity is actually working against people who would be considered white, non-Hispanic. That's the game they're playing. But the other thing to note is that there is work to also be done at the states level, because most education funding comes from the states level, and that's where the real disparity comes in, truth be told.
That's right.
But we don't pay attention to that.
That's right. Todd, I hear the music. Jennifer, I hear the music. We're going to take a break. It's Dominique Sharpton. I'm sitting in for Rev, taking your calls across the country. Call us 1-877-532-5797. We'll be right back with more of Keeping It Real with Sharpton. We'll be back.
Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton. Be ready for the National Action Network's National Convention, April 2nd through the 5th, 2025, in New York at the Sheraton. This year, and the 57th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King, they're trying to take back everything he stood and died for. We convene every year in April to make sure they know that they killed the dreamer, not the dream. We have workshops on everything from business development to dealing with our legal needs, from police reform all the way to how we deal with sentencing, how we deal with immigration, how we deal with the arts and entertainment. We have big names that come every year, but don't come for the big names, come for the big plans and the big execution. Register now, because with this year, as we are under assault with DEI, under assault with ending the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department under assault with now consent decrees and all are neutralized. If there ever was a time that you should come to a National Action Network convention, now's the time. We don't need a lot of philosophizing. We don't need a lot of showing how smart you are. We need action. We plan action and then we go and do action. I'm looking for you. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. We have no registration fee. You don't pay to register. Just get here and let's get it on. National Action Network Convention, April 2nd through the 5th. I'm going to look for you there. No justice! No justice! No justice! What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go. We gonna shine up and shake. Give me a papa God rain, make the heavens. If you know, say you know what trouble. Let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you know, say you know what trouble. Let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water, children.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I had to know.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity at the development of his intellect and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old, with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
So we are fighting. That's why I said to deal with this DEI situation. You must be disciplined and do studying, because unless you do structural change, we'll keep coming right back to this over and over again. I spoke Wednesday night at Yale University, and I told them students, some of those brightest students in the country, Yale, Harvard, I spoke at Yale, and told them there is a structural problem, which is why Trump and Vance and President Elon Musk, they can come in and put us backward because the structure was never corrected. They walk in the door and say NDI, because structurally they can make that stand. We've got to break the corporate world from doing it and then straighten out the structure of how this country is. Why we ought to be sending people to Congress is not sending them to Congress because they had the robocalls call your house, but they're committed to the structural change of this country. What Trump is successful on is playing on a weak structure.
Keeping it real. I'm Dominique Sharpton, sitting in for the Rev with Jennifer Jones-Austin. We're taking your calls across the country, 1-877-532-5797. Sister Jennifer, we got quite a few people holding on, and I know we're about to come to the end of the broadcast, so let's jump right back into it. Let's talk with my sister Anita, listening to us from Chapel Hill. Anita, you're keeping it real. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. To both of you and the audience. There's a song, I think it's Over the River and Through the Older, Living and Through the Woods. To grandmother's house we go, the horse knows the way to carry the sleigh, the white and drifting snow. Now we also have a dream. We have Rudolph, the magical horse, right? That's bringing us all those goody things that we get for being naughty and nice. Okay, so we have dreams and we have reality. We go through the horse and the snow, okay? And we have Rudolph and the magic of reality that God brings to us. And we're working with people that don't believe in God. So, but God has shown us that he's going to come through without the horse or without whatever. He can make whatever he wants. And we need to dream more. We need to keep our dreams alive. We need to realize how we need to get to grandmother's house. and it is not being kidnapped and raped and lynched and stolen from for 500 years. But we need to realize that. And Elijah Muhammad told us, you do not have to be raped black women. You can get married. You can have a husband. You can do things the way normal women do things. You do not have to be the only woman on the earth with no husband. Whoever heard of such? And run it to other people's house taking care of their business when you have your own business to take care of. So Trump needs to deal with Elijah Muhammad economics and way of dealing with things, because that's the way I'm going to deal with him, and only the way I'm going to deal with him. I know I'm not being raped. I'm not being a second-class citizen. And I'm going to get to grandma's house the way God said get there. And it's not being raped and never knowing grandma and never having a home at grandma's house, because that's what we're heading towards. And this is ridiculous.
All right, I'm back right now. I'm back. I had to do the Zoom call with some of our field staff. Thank you for your call, Anita. I'm a man of faith, Jennifer, but I do not think that Donald Trump's going to even entertain taking Elijah Muhammad's plan or any other plan that will advance our people unless we stand up and demand and do with our dollars what Honorable Elijah Muhammad and others told us to do. I really don't think this depends on what they do. It's what we do and make them do. Whether you followed the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or followed Dr. King like I did, both of them advocated what we make them do is what is being done. They didn't give us anything, and they're not going to give us anything now. I'm looking at the board where was this Tracy and Willard Weston said something. I think I'm gonna read. They put up on the message page of our live stream. It says at the time Dr. King's death, his approval rating was low among his own people. Jesus preached that his own received him not. Keep working, sir. Do the work God has called you to do. Now it is needed more than ever. And I will do that, and I appreciate that. But I wanted to say that because, Jennifer, your daddy was a colleague of Dr. King, and your daddy and Jesse and them mentored me. Dr. King was below 55%, above 55% negative among blacks when he got killed. Next day, he was everybody's hero. This is not going to be popular. This is not going to get you banquets. But you got to fight it because it's the right thing to do. We come too far to let one president turn us around. Jenny?
So our people went through so much and set the example for us and helped us appreciate that we, there's not one individual on this earth who's going to make us think that we are less than we are, because we know who we are and whose we are. And we just have to keep that in our minds and continually push back. Trump doesn't own us. Trump shouldn't own our minds. He doesn't own our bodies. And, and we just have to keep remembering that. We can't lose sleep worrying about, like whether or not this man's going to set us back. We got to do the work to make sure that he doesn't get to do what he wants to do. But he can't control us.
Let's go to Andre J. in Chicago, WVON. Andre.
Hey, good afternoon to you, Reverend. Good afternoon, Miss Austin, and I'm certainly glad you're feeling better, Miss Austin. I got
Thank you.
I'd like to make. You're quite welcome. It's my pleasure. I got some statements I want to make, and then at the end, I got a major legal question for Miss Austin. So, first of all, this is not the first time the Mayor Adams has been controversial. I remember when Daniel Penny was acquitted, the mayor, Eric Adams, he said that he supports the jury's decision.
Right.
So, well,
he did.
Why don't he support the jury's decision? Why don't he support the jury's decision in his case, concerning his case? I mean, why don't he accept the decision now? That's the first thing I'm going to say.
And wait a minute, Daniel Penny, for people around the country that don't know, is the white Marine who choked a unarmed black man to death on the New York subway. And many of us said he should have been prosecuted for killing him. He was acquitted by a mostly white jury. I preached his funeral. NAN was involved. Other groups were involved. And the mayor came on the other side of that. He and I still remain friends, but I said publicly we're going to disagree on this. I'm going to fight this, and I am going to preach this young man's funeral. In fact, NAN paid for it. So I just want everybody to know what Andre's talking about. So when people go around the country, they understand we can support the man on some things and disagree on others, and that's what I definitely disagreed with his statement on Daniel Penny. But go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, and thank you for the clarity, Rev. I've heard some of the callers say, Reverend, that they believe that God put Donald Trump in office. Well, I would like to hear from them, Rev, and ask them, why do they think that God would put Donald Trump in office over their people, over his people, I mean, a man that want to cut Medicare, cut SNAP benefits, fine people, telling lies, confusing people, and attack the female priest who just simply asked him to have mercy. And he got on and attacked us, say, party. So what person would think that God would put Trump in office? As you would say, Reverend, let's talk like we got good sense. Second of all, I've heard some of the congressmen like Cory Booker and Amy Klobuchar talk about how they've been friends with Republicans for years. Well, I think it's time to put that friendship through the test and call them out and ask them why could they support Donald Trump and support him, a bigot, a racist person like that, and put their friendship on trial. Because to me, if they give you an answer and say, well, I'm afraid of being primary, to me, being afraid of being primary, there's no excuse to accept Donald Trump's bigotry and racism and all of that stuff. So if they truly your friend, call them out on that. Cory Booker, Amy Klobuchar, call your Republican friends out and ask them why they're going along with this stuff. It's not right. So my question for Ms. Austin is this. There's a saying by an old English jurist. His name was Edward Coke. Coke is in C-O-K, Edward Coke is 1604, right? And the full quote says that a man's home is his castle and you protect against unreasonable search and seizure. My question for you, Ms. Jones, is do you see anything in the Fourth Amendment that a man's home is his castle? Do you see anything in that applies to what Elon Musk is doing now with getting our private personal information? He's getting people's security.
Let's get it after break.
All right, let me get your answer after the break, Andre. Hold on a minute. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Jones Austin. Be right back. I think the other day I was reading that scripture talking about transfiguration. And I used to hear preachers say they would love to talk to this one or that one, or communicate this one or that one. And I thought about, I would love to talk to James and John. Jesus went up on the mountain and brought his disciples with him. And the Bible said they went to sleep, James and John. And I would really want to know, why did you go to sleep when Jesus was going up to do something that we never understood all that happened because y'all were asleep? Now, they said that they appeared to be that he was talking to Moses and Elijah. I wonder what Moses and Elijah told Jesus. Jesus, son of God, why would he need to talk to Moses and Elijah? We'll never know because the disciples were asleep. Maybe Moses told them, don't worry about Calvary, because at the Red Sea, God, your father made a way for me. We'll never know. Maybe Elijah told them to appoint your disciples carefully. I had to throw mine on Elisha. We don't know what kind of counsel he got. We don't know the reason he went up there. Did they bless him? Did they prepare him? When he came later and said, are you prepared to drink of this cup? Did they tell him, you got to drink of the cup? We'll never know because the disciples were asleep. I come to tell you today that while Trump is trying to roll back time, the disciples are asleep. Y'all are sleeping through a revolution. You run around here talking about how much money Musk got. You run around here talking about how strong Trump is. You're sleeping through a revolution. You're trying to give people a way out rather than to dig in. Preachers talking about feel good. Get in the mirror and repeat these affirmations. I don't care what you repeat in the mirror. It ain't gonna change your situation till you get up and do something. I watch some of these preachers, it gets me sick. Touch somebody and tell them so-and-so. Don't touch me, you might get slapped back. I want to know what we gonna do about this. God is speaking to us, but you sleep. That's like Jesus went and conferred with Moses and Elijah. We need to confer with Martin and Malcolm and Rosa Parks. Let those that are gone past confer with us like Elijah and Moses conferred with Jesus, and they would tell us if we stand up, God will hold us up. Y'all asleep, but I've been talking to the ancestors, and they told me that God will make a way for his children. I've been talking to the ancestors. They said that the race isn't given to the swift, nor to the strong, but those that'll hold out to the end. I've been talking to the ancestors. Y'all asleep, but the ancestors told me there is a God that'll make a way for his children. He walks with me. He talks with me. Tells me I'm his own. Where Frederick Douglass lay. Don't stand on the ground where Rosa Parks lay, unless you're going to really do what it is we committing to do. Because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against wickedness, principalities, wickedness in high places. I want everyone, if you're resolved, to just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, Al Sharpton, do solemnly commit that I will stand up and rise up in the name of Dr. King, in the name of Frederick Douglass, in the name of Rosa Parks, and I will defend equality for all, diversity, equality, inclusion, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, immigration rights. I commit, I take this oath that I will not become like those I'm fighting. I'm not for violence, but I will peacefully stand against those that want to bring us down. I commit this in the house of God, on this sacred ground. So help me God. Congratulate yourself. While you're standing, I want all the ministers to come. Let's join arms. When they would march in the South, I used to think it was a little too moderate for me. But as I read my history and got to know some of the lieutenants of Dr. King, I realized it took a lot of strength to face biting dogs, to face sheriff's club nightsticks, and somehow with no defense at all, they look at biting dogs in Birmingham. So we are fighting. That's why I said to deal with this DEI situation, you must be disciplined and do study, because unless you do structural change, we'll keep coming right back to this over and over again. I spoke Wednesday night at Yale University, and I told them students, some of those brightest students in the country, Yale, Harvard, I spoke at Yale, and told them there is a structural problem, which is why Trump and Vance and President Elon Musk, they can come in and put us backward because the structure was never corrected. They walk in the door and say NDI, because structurally they can make that stand. We've got to break the corporate world from doing it and then straighten out the structure of how this country is. Why we ought to be sending people to Congress is not sending them to Congress because they had the robocalls call your house, but they're committed to the structural change of this country. What Trump is successful on is playing on a weak structure. so he can make it go either way. It should not be so unclear that you can play the game either set away. It must be firm that you got to repair the damage done. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. Jenny, you understood Andre's question?
I did, and I appreciate his inquiry. I appreciate his thinking on this. Here's the deal. The Fourth Amendment protects individuals from the government accessing your private information. They can't come into your home. They can't just immediately get into your cell phone. They can't, they can't go and get your personal files unless they have a warrant to do so. And they prove that there's probable cause, reason to do it. The challenge we have here is two things. One, that the information that Elon Musk, under the notion that he's acting on behalf of the government, is information that the government already has legally. It's not like they're coming in and getting information. It's not like they're coming in and saying, we want to see your cell phone and we want to see what's in your text messages. They already legally have your taxpayer information, your Social Security number, your IRS filings. They already legally have that information. And so it's not like they're doing a search and seizure if they're the government looking to look at this information. The issue is whether or not Elon Musk is truly a government official, and whether or not Donald Trump could have set up Doge to act in these ways and to take people's information and, with uncertainty about what they're actually using it for. That's the argument there. Is Elon Musk really acting on behalf of the government, and what is he using the funds for? I'm using the information for. So the Fourth Amendment is not necessarily directly implicated because this is information the government already legally has. Do you get the distinction I'm drawing?
Yeah,
I'm not saying that what he's doing is legal.
Yeah, I do.
But
So
it's not necessarily challenging the Fourth Amendment.
Right. So what you're saying is that information is already under the Freedom of Information Act. It's already available to any individual, not just Elon Musk.
No. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that your Social Security number is provided to you by the government. When you file your taxes, you're giving that information, all of that, over to the government.
Right.
The W-2 form is something that is a government record. So the information that Elon Musk is accessing is already information that the government is authorized to have. So it's not a situation where you could say the government is coming in and trying to seize your information illegally. It's not the same thing as them coming into your house and trying to go through your personal files.
No, but I think the crux of it, Andre, I think she answered, is that the question is if the government already has it, then who is Elon Musk? Is he the government? Because he doesn't even have an official government title. And this has nothing to do with Freedom of Information Act. That's totally different. This is the government has what he's saying. He's what he is after or says he's after. But does he have the right to do that based on what? I think that's the point. Thank you for your call. Let me go to Ronnie in Philadelphia, WURD 900 AM. Ronnie.
Hey, Reverend Sharpton, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Attorney Jennifer Austin Jones. I wanted to make a comment about hearing. In order for Judge Ho to make a full record to send to the Second Circuit, he should call every last one of those prosecutors who resigned. Instead of their information being made out into the public, let's make it part of the public record, the court record, and then send that to the Second Circuit, because there is enough prima facie evidence of a corruption by this fast track to do a dismissal. So he should call. I dropped my phone. He should call every one of those prosecutors who resigned and have them put their resignations into the record.
Well, let me say this, Ronnie.
It's an issue of what we call comedy, where it's supposed to be a separation between, the functions of government. And what we're seeing now is the beginning of corruption by people being able to say, "Oh, just throw these charges out," you know.
Yeah. Let me say this, Ronnie. Let me say this. I don't know you, but I totally agree with you. And I would take it a step further. I think the judge should not only talk to them, I think he should have a public hearing and let them testify, and then let Dove from the Justice Department testify. And so it be on a public record here of what is being said. If the prosecutors, 7 of them, 3 from the Washington Justice Department, would come off a case, I think the judge has an obligation to hear why they came off the case, why they thought this was quid pro quo, why they thought what was done it was improper, to create a record before they go to the Second Circuit. Because the more you have a record, the more they're going to have to deal with. I think you hit it right on the head. I think that I don't know what the judge is going to do. They're saying he says it won't take long. He doesn't want it to be forever. He's going to come back with a decision. I was hoping that before he came back with the decision, he'd have a public hearing, have them all come into court and testify, because this is very serious.
That's right. I agree.
All right, let's go to Marsha in Portland, Oregon. Marsha.
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Oh, hi. Reverend Al, thank you for taking my call today. This is Marcia Johnson from Portland, Oregon. I want to know what I can do when you see wrong information wrote down by law enforcement, and how I can go about it. Almost looks like a framing.
When you see the wrong information written down by law enforcement?
Yes, I was stopped with a ticket. I got a traffic ticket, and the officer wrote out wrong information from my license that he was holding.
So, Attorney Jones Austin, what can someone do in a case like that?
So 2 things. First, look at your local Google for your community, whether or not you have a civilian complaint review board, or just Google, where can I file a complaint against a law enforcement officer in my, and then put in the name of your city, the name of your state. The other thing that you can do is also file a complaint with your Attorney General's office. They have a Division of Human Rights. And then there are also certain states where they have state human rights, and you can file a complaint there. So you got 3. You can go to the Attorney General's office, to their Division of Human Rights, and it also sometimes is called the Division of Civil Rights. You can look to see, where to go for your state Department of Human Rights, and then for your city, just Google, where can I file a complaint? How do I file a complaint against law enforcement in my city, and put in your city?
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And your name was Attorney whom?
Jennifer Jones Austin.
Jennifer Jones. Well, thank you. God bless you both.
All right, bless you. Jenny, let me ask you, we have a couple of minutes left, and I'm trying to get 1 or 2 more calls. Let me ask you this. The fact is that if the judge comes back to the Adams case and decides whether, let's say he decides that he's not going to let them drop the case and they got to move forward, Adams has the right to appeal that to the Second Circuit. Is that right?
I don't know if Adams has a right to appeal it, but because remember, the motion is being brought by the Department of Justice, so they would have a right to appeal it.
All right, so let me ask the other reverse of that. If he says he's going to go with them for the trial anyway, does anyone have the right to appeal that to the Second Circuit? Who else has standing in this?
You don't. The only people who have standing on this matter right now are the plaintiff and the defendant. So the plaintiff essentially is the federal government, and the defendant would be Eric Adams. They're the only parties who have standing. But you could have cities, you could have elected officials, you could have citizens who say that they are concerned and they're interested parties, and they could make an appeal at the circuit level saying they want to be heard on the matter. But the people who have direct standing would be the government and Eric Adams as the defendant.
And when you say be heard on the matter, that would be then up to the Second Circuit to hear it or not, because they the decision would already have been made by the district judge, Judge Ho.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Because I think that this is going to have ramifications much more broadly than New York. And I think that it is something that we all need to pay attention to and take very seriously. And I know that, this is going to be rough and tough because some of us, including me, have been friendly with the mayor. But sometimes you test what you believe in, and this is one of the tests. I do not believe we can allow Donald Trump to hold the city of New York citizens hostage. And that's what this is to me. I said that from day one. And I think that we've got to be really, really clear about that. And the other thing I think that is extreme.
Wait, sir, because what you're saying is that you set precedent. You got to remember, when a district court judge takes an action like this, he sets what they call precedent, which means that in other cases across the country, somebody can now look to what this district court judge did and say, I've now got a basis to do similarly. That if somebody else comes in and says, well, Donald Trump is getting somebody to do their bidding, and cases are being thrown out left and right, they can say, well, there's precedent for it, and it's acceptable.
Right. And I think that's the way we've got to really weigh this case. And somebody, the name is going to say that Donald Trump is going to hell. Well, I don't know whether he's going to hell. Maybe he'll get right sooner or later. I'm just trying to stop him from bringing us to hell before Judgment Day. Let me thank Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin. Let me thank all of you that called in, listened in, you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. Talk to you tomorrow.